In this lecture, we're going to look at how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square method. So that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at the steps, and I'll show you how to use this, how to follow the steps to complete the square of quadratic equations. The first thing we're going to do is to divide all the terms by the coefficient of x squared. Then we're going to move the number term or the constant term to the right hand side of the equation, so that on the left hand side you only have terms with variables. And we're going to complete the equation, we complete the square on the left hand side, and we follow the same method as in the previous video. If you want some more steps on how to do that, there's a video that covers that. There's a lecture that covers this thoroughly, and then we're going to solve for the equation that we create. So let's get started. Solve for x squared plus 3x plus 2. So the coefficient of x squared is 1, so we don't need to do anything here. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to move the 2 out. So it's going to be x squared plus 3x is equal to negative 2. So now we're going to complete this square of this equation. So what we do here is we're going to add, so x squared plus 3x plus, we're going to add half of the coefficient of x, so it's going to be 3 over 2. We're going to square it, is equal to negative 2 plus 3 over 2 squared. Now we're going to rewrite this as a perfect square. So this is going to give us, so one thing to note before we go there is the reason why we add positive 3 over 2 squared to both sides is to make sure that we do not change the original equation. So if you notice, we're adding the same quantity to both sides, so the equation hasn't really changed much, but we're doing that to help us get a perfect square on the left hand side. So now we're going to rewrite this as a perfect square. So it's going to be, we're going to pick out our x, and then the value in the parentheses here, that's plus 3 over 2 squared is equal to negative 2 plus 9 over 4. So we can do some work here. So negative 2 plus 9 over 4 is the same as negative 8 over 4 plus 9 over 4. So this is going to give us 1 over 4. So now we have x plus 3 over 2 squared is equal to 1 over 4. The next step is to take the square root of both sides, with the understanding that the square root of 1 over 4 has to be, you have to represent both the positive and the negative result of the square root. So we have x plus 3 over 2 is equal to plus or minus 1 over 2. So next thing we do is we have x plus 3 over 2 equal to 1 over 2, or x plus 3 over 2 equal to negative 1 over 2. So we are going to subtract 3 over 2 from both sides, and we should have x is equal to negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1, and in this case x, we subtract 3 over 2 from both sides, so x is equal to negative 4 over 2, so x is equal to negative 2. So this tells us that x is equal to negative 1, negative 2. If you factor it, you should get the same result. So let's try that quickly for just this example so you can see that it should work all the way across. So x squared plus 3x plus 2, so it's going to give us x plus 1, x plus 2 equal to 0. So x plus 1 equal to 0. Therefore, x is negative 1. X plus 2 equal to 0. Therefore, x is negative 2. So either way, we get the same result. Now let's look at this example. The first thing we're going to do, because the coefficient of x squared is 1, we're just going to add 10 to both sides. So x squared plus 9x equal to 10. And we're going to now complete the square on the left hand side. So we have x squared plus 9x plus 9 over 2 squared equal to 10 plus 9 over 2 squared. So we now have x plus 9 over 2 squared is equal to 10 plus 81 over 4. So let's do that here. 10 plus 81 over 4 is the same as 40 over 4 plus 81 over 4. So we have x plus 9 over 2 squared equal to 121 over 4. Now we're going to take a square root of both sides. So we have x plus 9 over 2 squared. The square root of that is going to be equal to positive and negative square root of 121 over 4. So now we have x plus 9 over 2 equal to plus or minus square root of 121 over 4 is 11 over 2. Now let's move this right about here. So we have two instances, two answers. X plus 9 over 2 equal to positive 11 over 2. We also have x plus 9 over 2 equal to negative 11 over 2. So let's subtract 9 over 2 here. So x is going to be equal to 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. And in this case, we subtract 9 over 2 from both sides. So x is equal to negative 11 minus 9 over 2, which is going to give us negative 20 over 2, which is negative 10. So the values of x are going to be negative 10 and 1. Next example, same approach. We're going to subtract 12 from both sides. So x squared minus 8x equal to negative 12. Now we're going to complete the square on the left hand side. So we have x squared minus 8x plus negative 8 over 2 squared equal to negative 12 plus negative 8 over 2 squared. So now we have x squared minus 8x plus negative 4 squared is equal to negative 12 plus negative 4 squared. So now we're going to re-express this as a perfect square on the left hand side. So we have x minus 4 squared equal to negative 12 plus 16. X minus 4 squared, we take a square root, is equal to positive negative square root of 4. So now we have x minus 4 equal to plus minus 2. So let's bring this up here. So we have x minus 4 equal to plus 2. We also have x minus 4 equal to negative 2. So we add 4 to both sides. So in this case, x is equal to 6. And we add 4 to both sides here. In this case, x is equal to 2. So we have x equal to 2 and 6. So we're going to try this example here as well. Coefficient of x squared is 1, so we just go ahead and add 14 to both sides. So x squared minus 5x equal to 14. Now let's add a term that would make the left hand side perfect square and add the same term to the right hand side. So we have x squared minus 5x plus negative 5 over 2 squared equal to 14 plus negative 5 over 2 squared. So we're going to express the left hand side as a perfect square. So we're going to have x minus 5 over 2 squared is equal to 14 plus 25 over 4. Let's simplify that. 14 plus 25 over 4 is the same as 56 over 4 plus 25 over 4, which is 81 over 4. So now we're going to take the square root of both sides. So x minus 5 over 2 squared is equal to plus or minus square root of 81 over 4. So now we have x minus 5 over 2 equal to plus or minus 9 over 2. So let's bring this over here. So we have x minus 5 over 2 is equal to positive 9 over 2. We also have x minus 5 over 2 equal to negative 9 over 2. Let's add 5 over 2 to this one here, and we add 5 over 2 here. So we have x equal to 9 plus 5 over 2, which is 7. And we also add 5 over 2 on this side here. So x is equal to negative 9 plus 5 over 2, which is negative 4 over 2, which gives us negative 2. So x is going to be equal to negative 2 and 7. Now let's look at examples where we actually have a coefficient of x squared greater than 1. So first thing we're going to do is divide the whole thing, both sides, by 2. So the equation now becomes x squared minus 13 over 2x plus 10 equal to 0. Now we can subtract 10 from both sides. So x squared minus 13 over 2x equal to negative 10. Now we're going to add a term that would complete the square on the left hand side. So that becomes x squared minus 13 over 2x plus, we're going to find what is half of 13 over 2. So it's 13 over 2 multiplied by 1 over 2. Okay, so that's negative 13 over 4 squared is equal to negative 10 plus negative 13 over 4 squared. So now we're going to write the left hand side. We will have to write the left hand side as a perfect square. So it's going to give us x minus 13 over 4 squared is equal to negative 10 plus 169 over 16. So let's simplify that. Negative 10 plus 169 over 16 is going to be negative 160 over 16 plus 169 over 16. It's going to give us 9 over 16. Okay, so now we can take the square root of both sides. So x minus 13 over 4 squared is equal to the positive negative square root of 9 over 16. So now we simplify this. We have to take the square root here as well. So x minus 13 over 4 is equal to plus minus 3 over 4. Now let's bring this right over here. We have x minus 13 over 4 equal to 3 over 4. We also have x minus 13 over 4 equal to minus 3 over 4. So we're going to add 13 over 4 to both sides. So x here is going to be 16 over 4, which is equal to 4. And then in this case, we're going to add 13 over 4 to both sides. So x is equal to minus 3 plus 13 over 4, which is 10 over 4. That's going to give us 5 over 2. So the values of x would be 5 over 2 and 4. And then finally, we have 3x squared plus 2x minus 5 equal to 0. So we're going to first divide the whole thing by 3 on both sides. So we have x squared plus 2 over 3x minus 5 over 3 equal to 0. So we're going to add 5 over 3 to both sides. So now we have x squared plus 2 over 3x, which is equal to 5 over 3. Now we need to add a term to the left hand side to make it a perfect square, and then add the same term to the right hand side. So we have x squared plus 2 over 3x, and the value we add to the right hand side is the square of the term, the coefficient of x divided by 2. So the coefficient of x is 2/3. So we have 2/3 divided by 2, which is 2/3 multiplied by 1/2. So that's going to be 1/3. So this is plus 1/3 squared is equal to 5 over 3 plus 1/3 squared. So this becomes x plus 1 over 3 squared equal to 5 over 3 plus 1 over 9. So let's simplify that. 5 over 3 plus 1 over 9 is the same as, we multiply by 3, so 15 over 9 plus 1 over 9, which is 16 over 9. Okay? So now we're going to find the square root of both sides. So we find the square root here, and then we find the positive, negative square root here. So we have x plus 1 over 3 equal to plus minus 4 over 3. So we bring this up here. So we now have x plus 1 over 3 equal to 4 over 3. We also have x plus 1 over 3 equal to negative 4 over 3. So we're going to subtract 1 over 3 from both sides. So x is equal to positive 4 minus 1 over 3. And here x is equal to so we subtract 1 over 3 from both sides. It's going to be negative 4 minus 1 over 3. So this is going to give us, here x is 3 over 3, which is equal to 1, and here x is negative 5 over 3. So the values of x for this equation is negative 5. The values of x are negative 5 over 3 and 1. So walked you through a lot of examples on how you can complete this square, with the understanding that over time you've got the approach to completing the square of equations with coefficient of 1 and then coefficient of x squared, that is 1, and the coefficient of x squared that is greater than 1.